Okay, started.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody. You have made it to the Mountain States Regional Genetics Network Genetic Ambassador Call. Put our slide up here. It's our November 2019 call. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to start off with some introductions, and we'll let some folks join as they come in and grab them at the end of the introductions. I'll ask if I missed anybody. But I thought we could do as our intro question for today, since we're talking about genetics pop-ups and we're talking about Rare Disease Day, I'm going to offer two questions that you can answer with. Pick one of the two. Either what rare disease do you represent in your advocacy or your genetic ambassador role, or you can answer the question, if you've ever had a genetics pop-up, let us know when and where. So let's start off. Susan, this is an easy question for you, so I'll let you go since you were the first one on the call. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I basically represent those who aren't diagnosed yet, because I think it's a huge group. And absolutely. I did have a pop-up in Dallas.
Perfect. And you had it in the spring, right? You had it in May, I think?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Nick Kirchhoff. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I recently became the NORD ambassador here in the state, and I'm an advocate for cystinosis. My 2-year-old daughter was diagnosed just over a year ago. So that's my story.
Great. We are so glad to have you on the call. Thanks for joining us. And Winton, are you on? Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, good morning. Oh, I guess good afternoon now. Well, my name is Winton Wood, and I work at Development Disability. I'm in the Information Network, and I am an information specialist. I try and find resources for anyone who has a disability, and that does include, of course, genetic disabilities.
Great. And is there a rare disease, or you haven't done a genetic pop-up yet, I don't believe, but is there a rare disease category that you represent? I know you represent a lot of people, so.
Yeah, no, we represent a lot of people, and just personally, my daughter has Down syndrome, but our here at the CDD, we represent as everyone who wants to call us.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you.
All right, and let's see, Jen Barnhart, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jen Banna from Montana's Family to Family Health Information Center. I'm the center coordinator here. And so in my professional life, I represent all of the kids in Montana and their families who are working to get a diagnosis or who may have a genetic diagnosis. My daughter has Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. So in my personal life, I work with people with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're glad you're on the call. And how about Michaela? Can you hear us, Michaela?
I sure can. Hello, everyone. My name is Michaela Allison, and I am a board member for Colorado Rare. Nick, it's great to hear your voice and connect with you. I know that you've been connecting with my colleague, Amanda. She represents CDKL5 and is also a board member with me on Colorado Rare. So it's nice to meet you, Nick. And my daughter, Lily, has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome hypermobility type.
Great. Thank you for introducing yourself, Michaela. Thank you for being here. And Melissa, I think you're up next. Melissa Fox.
Hi, I am Melissa. I am from Texas. I am one of the co-leads for the Texas Mountain States team. I have a son who will be 28 on Monday who has Down syndrome. And
wow.
No, I have not had a pop-up.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, he will. 28.
Wow.
Where the years go.
Awesome. You haven't had a pop-up, but you applied and got awarded a pop-up, so you have a pop-up to do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right. How about Heather Schichtel? Are you there, Heather? Can you talk?
I am. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Great. So, hi, my name is Heather Schichtel, based out of Colorado. So, I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Miracles for Mito. We support families in the Rocky Mountain region with mitochondrial disease. and know Amanda well. So Nick, good to hear your voice. Glad to connect with you as well. And I've never done a pop-up, but I did apply for one.
I just saw that. It just came through.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for being on the call. Robert, if you're able to multitask and just give us a little intro, if not, we'll catch you at the end. Can you introduce yourself? You might be on another call. Okay.
Oh, no, there he is.
Oh, no, he's there. There he is. Go ahead. Are you there?
Robert?
No, maybe not. Okay, we'll come back around to you, Robert. We're not hearing you. All right, Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi. So my name is Hannah Barnhart. I used to be the genetics clinic coordinator, PEDS for Alaska. I am now in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I used to work with CF kids. And so I guess cystic fibrosis kind of rings close to my heart. So those are the kids, but I agree with Susan as well. There are so many people that are still undiagnosed, so I'm rallying for them as well. And I have never done a pop-up.
Great, thanks for being here. All right, and I see Joel. Joel, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Christy. My name is Joel Lopez, and I'm an engagement and outreach manager here at Genetic Alliance, and I work on the national side of things for the Family Center, the National Genetics Education and Family Support Center. And so Mountain States is one of 7 regions that we are lucky to be able to support family engagement, education, and training in. I'm just here to kind of see how things are going. I haven't been able to join one of these calls in a little while, but I've been to the annual meeting the last 2 years, and I'm really excited to hear updates from today.
We're glad you're here. Thanks, Joel. All right, and then I have some other numbers showing up. So if you haven't introduced yourself, can you just speak up now and introduce yourself? Because I'm not sure who the numbers go to. So who else is on the line that would like to introduce themselves? I've got a 303 and a 720. That might be Nick, though. Go ahead.
So I'm the 303. My name is Adrian Paradis. I am here in Colorado.
Hey.
Hi. And I am a mom to a son, a now 13-year-old boy with Dup15q syndrome. And I am the state representative for the Dup15q Alliance.
Wonderful. Thanks. We're so glad you're here. And you haven't done a pop-up yet. You participated in a pop-up with Jamie, though. You helped out with that one, right?
Right. Yeah, I went and participated in that, and we have a lot of great ideas maybe for the next one. So
awesome. Awesome. And then Robert, I don't know if you're available. Do you want to try again to introduce yourself? Because I know you and Adrian share a passion. I don't know if he's there. Maybe not. All right. Robert was one of our scholarship winners from Arizona, and also shares in the Dup15q family. So let's see, anybody else before we go on to the presentation or to talking about pop-ups? If there's anyone else on the call that would like to introduce themselves? Annette, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hi, everyone. I'm Annette, and I'm the project manager for Mountain States.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and can everybody see my slides? Am I shared? Are those shared or yeah? It says stop share. Can everybody see those? Yeah, Melissa's shaking her head. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So today's talk, we had done the last one where we had brought in some speakers. Heather and Carrie were so nice to give us some genetic ambassador updates from some of their experiences. This one, this call, I thought instead of having an outside speaker, we could dedicate this one to some discussion around the pop-ups because that application is available now. So I think most of you know me, this is my agenda for today. So talking about the genetic pop-ups and talking about the connection with Rare Disease Day 2020. We have started the Genetic Ambassador calendar, and so we'll review over that quickly. I want to thank Melissa and Heather for letting me know about some stuff to put on that. So keep those ideas coming. If you know of things that are going on in our region, we'll talk about how we're keeping that calendar. And then also I want to bring up the new grant application that's just been announced. So we'll dive right into pop-ups. For those of you who are new to Mountain States or new to what a genetics pop-up is, a genetics pop-up is something that we came up with last spring to pilot to see if it would work. It's really just a gathering of individuals in your local community to share genetic resources with and to have a conversation about genetics with. We started off with the idea that it could be a kind of a small thing, like maybe getting together about 5 or 6 people in a coffee shop. And what Mountain States would provide for that is a $300 budget, of which some of that money would go towards gift cards to thank the people who attended the pop-up. The other amount of money could go towards food and drink. And then we would send you resources and materials that we have gathered nationwide, regionally, and statewide about genetics, and we call it a gene in a box. And then you could share those, people could take those resources, and it's really meant to be a low-stress gathering, but a way to get genetics conversations going in our local communities and starting where we are, right where we are in our own communities. So we did that in the spring, and we had 5 of those pop-ups happen. And the management team felt that it was successful, and so they've allocated some money in our 3rd year of this grant for some more. And so hopefully you've all gotten the link to the application some way, shape, or form. But if you haven't, you can go to our website right now, which is just mountainstatesgenetics.org, and it is the top of the latest news category. So on the front page, if you just scroll to the bottom underneath the clickable map, it's the top latest news right there. Genetics pop-up application open for 2020. You can click on that and you can click to the application right from there. The due date for this is December 1st, which I know is coming up really, really quickly, right after Thanksgiving. But the reason for that being is because we've decided to focus on a rare disease theme this year. And hang on. Let's see, there we go. And when we didn't do this the first round, we kind of just had a general genetics theme, but with Rare Disease Day 2020 being on February 29th this year, we thought it would be nice to have all of our states, and this actually came from Michaela, I think, on a call with some of the Colorado consumers. Wouldn't it be cool to have all of our states participate in some way, shape, or form around Rare Disease Day? And we thought the pop-ups might allow people to do that because it would come with some funding, it would come with some materials and resources, and it would allow people to do that. So we're going to try this year of a Rare Disease Day theme. So we are asking if you are applying for a pop-up, if you're able to hold it sometime between 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after February 29th, 2020. We have funding available for 8 pop-ups. So we have 8 states in our region. So our goal is hopefully being able to fund 1 pop-up per state. And again, the application deadline is December 1st. If you want to read more about the pop-ups and you want to learn a little bit more about what those look like in the spring, we have added a page to our website. It's under the For Families tab. And it's a drop down there. It says genetic pop-ups. You can read about what a genetic pop-up is. I have linked all the resources that I have in the Gene in a Box last round. If they're available electronically, those are all on our website now at that Gene in a Box resource kit link. And then we've listed all of our 29 pop-ups. And if you click on each of those of those state names or town names plus states, you can actually see pictures from those pop-ups. So the idea around Rare Disease Day is that Mountain States grant is very broadly based, meaning that we don't have just one genetic condition we are advocating for or working around. We're working with all pediatric genetic conditions and even into adulthood as well, but mostly the focus is pediatric. So it's hard to pick an awareness day, right? Every condition out there has an awareness day, month, week, but it's hard to do that for everything that Mountain States represents. So rare disease kind of encompasses that for all of the umbrella of disorders that Mountain States represents. So there's already an organization out there called RareDiseaseDay.org. It was started in Europe. This is a click of or a snapshot of their website, and is actually 100 days from today, exactly 100 days from today is Rare Disease Day. So the organization that is spearheading this for the United States is NORD. So I have reached out to some of their individuals, and thanks, Nick, for being on the phone today. But that we can participate with them. And one of the things that they have built into their website for Rare Disease Day is a map with events. So this is a great way for us to let people know that we're having these genetic pop-ups. If you're open to letting people know that you're having a pop-up, I give you that option on the application to say whether you'd want us to help you get the word out or not. But this is the current map that's on the website right now. And when you scroll, when you blow up and zoom in into the United States, there's only a couple that, or actually only one that's showing up on the map. I think there's 3 listed on the website. Now, of course, I would imagine this would get more and more populated as the closer we get to Rare Disease Day. But they have this feature already built into them, and you can easily submit a posting. I don't know if you guys can see that down there, if my thing's in front of it here. Get involved by posting your event. And once we award the pop-ups, we can, Mountain States, myself and Annette and our team can help with getting the word out if that's something you would like to do. So I have a couple screenshots for a couple of our states because we talked about a little bit about this last time, that NORD does have state ambassadors. And so Nick is on the call, and he is a ambassador for Colorado. We also have the organization in Colorado that Michaela mentioned and is on the board for, which is Rare Colorado Rare. And I've been in touch with them and just got the update that they're looking forward to a Rare Disease Day at the Capitol on Thursday, February 27th. And I think Nick, do you want to give us an update? I think you said you were working with them as well on some things for Colorado. Did you want to give us any updates?
I don't have too much of an update.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just spoke with Amanda the other day, and so she said that things would kind of get, more details would be ironed out closer to December when things kind of settle down.
Perfect.
But obviously, I mean, we're here and able to help in any way possible. So, yeah,
Perfect.
I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. And Michaela, did you want to give any updates from your end from Colorado Rare?
The only thing that we are, and this isn't final yet, we're waiting to hear back on February 7th. We should be sitting at Children's Hospital Colorado for our Rare Disease Day table that we host there. We're also looking at expanding some presence to Banner and Poudre and Presbyterian St. Luke's, just to have a little bit of presence in some of those other hospitals as well. So
Great.
We're working on all of those dates.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, and the reason for these slides is really just as I'm hearing things through you all and through the context that I've been making, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on in their states so that we're not all recreating the wheel. So just making sure that everybody has the information. So that's why I made these state slides up. And any more information you get, if you want to shoot them my way as we have more genetic ambassador calls as we get closer, I'm happy to update the calendar with the dates.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So the other state that I do have some information on is Texas. Texas also has some NORD representatives. I spoke with Deborah, and she's the one that gave me this flyer about their Rare Disease Day event. It's in Sugar Land, which is just south of Houston, and they're planning a very big family-friendly event day on Saturday, February 29th. So I think on our Texas State team call, Daphne brought up that she was aware of this, and so I just wanted to throw that out there, that this is already in the works, and she said tables are available and things, so that might be something for anybody in the Houston area or Texas that would like to travel to that. And if you want more information on this, just reach out to me. I can shoot this flyer over to you as well. And then the other state that I have information on is Nevada. And so Carrie, I don't think Carrie's on the call with us today, but Carrie Ostray runs a nonprofit in Nevada called the Little Miss Hannah Foundation. And they are having a 5K run. They call it Vegas Cares About Rare in Las Vegas on February 29th. And so that information is out there as well and on their website. So I just want to get, those are the three states that I know have stuff going on around that. If you guys, if your state's not represented up here, this is a great opportunity to have a genetics pop-up and get on the map for Rare Disease Day, for Mountain States, and for genetics in general. So I do want to just take a few minutes to talk about advocacy versus lobbying. And this has come up because so much of Rare Disease Day, there's an aspect of it that can be lobbying, and Nick and I have talked about this because NORD has a lot of focus in this area, and then there's also a fine line through advocacy, because we are administrated through a nonprofit. And because our federal funds because our funding for Mountain States comes from federal funds, we cannot use money that we receive to lobby. It is one of the things that is not allowed for our grant funding and for our nonprofit status through Texas Health Institute. So I got an article the other day, and I'll show you the reference for it in a second, when I reached out to Sherry at Texas Health Institute to just try to understand a little bit better about what is the fine line between both of them. Basically, as a 501c3, you can advocate for your organization or your mission, but you can't directly engage in political lobbying efforts. So this is the article link, and I'm happy to send this to anybody because it's kind of a long one to write down. But advocacy really just means that you're making your voice heard regarding an issue most closely related to your organization's purpose or mission. I love this because they gave some examples in this article about what advocating might look like. You can still contact your city and state representatives to explain your mission and share information about the work you're doing. You can invite representatives to your site for an informational session. They can create an email or social media campaign to share information. But the difference between advocacy, again, and lobbying is more supporting or opposing a specific piece of legislation. That would mean legislation, a regulation, a specific candidate or official. This is really what we can't do with Mountain States money. We can't specifically come in support or opposition of any of the things on this list. So I just wanted to bring that up for everyone. So as you're thinking about the genetic pop-ups, if you are interested in applying for one, because Rare Disease Day does sometimes have a legislative focus in some states, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we can't use a genetics pop-up to do this type of work where we're supporting or opposing a specific type of legislation or candidate, especially since these will be happening in election year. So just wanted to draw that clarification. Does anybody have any questions on that? I know this is something that I've known about since I've worked with Mountain States, but I feel like there's always kind of some questions around it whenever people ask me about this, or even when I went to the Family Voices Conference, they have a state, or they have a Capitol Hill Day, and I listened into their sessions where they really explain some of this, like telling your story to a representative, as long as there's no bill attached to it, we can advocate all day long by sharing our stories. That's an okay thing to do, but when it's tied to, I'm telling you my story because I want you to pass this legislation or I want you to oppose this legislation, then that crosses over the lines of lobbying. But does anyone have any experience with this or want to share any questions or comments on advocating versus lobbying? Go ahead.
I work for an organization that we cannot endorse. And so telling your personal story, I'm sorry, I just hit my printer and forgot it. There we go. Just sharing your personal story and how it affects you and your family is probably the best way to go.
Right. So you get Melissa's organization, Texas Parent to Parent, is funded very similarly to how Mountain States is funded because it's through HRSA. Jen would be in the same similar category. So you guys do advocacy work by helping people share their stories, but not specifically saying vote for this or don't vote for this. Is that what you're saying, Melissa?
Correct. And we also train families how to share their story, how to fill out the paperwork to go testify in front of your legislature. You have to fill out a form when you go in, at least in Texas. You fill out a form when you go in, what bill you're there to support, if you're there to testify. Otherwise, just sharing your story with your legislators or the committees. If you want to go to the Health and Human Services Committee, and you go to every legislator who's on that committee and share your story and why you feel this piece of legislation is important and what difference it could make.
But you're saying as parent to parent of Texas Parent to Parent, you guys can't come behind a piece of legislation and say, we support this or we oppose this, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and we're in a similar spot with Mountain States. So thanks for sharing that though, but go ahead.
I was going to say, but we do reach out to parents, or if parents reach out to us and say, like the medical marijuana, bill, there was a group of parents that reached out to us and said, how do we help, how do we get this passed, help us. And, Texas is a little conservative, we'll say that, and it's taken a while, but, we have CBD oil now, and, we're getting there. But it took parents coming to us and saying, this is what is important to us. And there was a mom and son who really spearheaded that. So support your family, support the people you're working with.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go on to the next slide here. That is our calendar. So this idea was brought up. I think I mentioned that Colorado consumers and I had a call back in the summertime and just brainstormed a couple ideas of things that would be helpful for the genetic ambassador calls. And one of the things that was brought up was a regional or state by state calendar. So we're trying this out. I brought forward, we just did this last month as our first trial, and I brought forward all of that information plus added things that I've been emailed. Really not too much going on for November. We've got only a week or so left with Thanksgiving. For December, we have the due date for the genetics pop-ups right there first thing in December. And then Heather let me know about the Miracles for Mito holiday party. I failed to put on here that that's in Colorado, but you can get more information about that on their Facebook page. So that's coming up for Denver and the surrounding areas. And I'll talk about this in more detail in just a second, but Mountain States has our grant for a competitive renewal due on January 14th. So I added that here so we could discuss that. But if I don't have any other regional events or specific events noted for January. February, of course, is Rare Disease Day, which we've been talking about today with the pop-ups. So that's a good one to keep on our radar. And then what I did, instead of going month by month by month, I kind of have summarized March through December. So as this list grows, I will split these out into separate months. But thank you so much, Melissa. Let me know about two Down syndrome conferences. One is an adult summit in Phoenix, Arizona in May. And then there's the National Down Syndrome Congress in New Orleans in June. And so I added both of those. There's also the Living Rare, Living Stronger 2020 in Ohio in May. And then there's also the Global Genes Conference that Heather and Carrie told us about in San Diego in September. So that's kind of the upcoming things for looking forward to 2020. again, if you have any things that come across your desk, if you're on listservs, if you're on mailing lists of different organizations and something looks interesting to you and you think other advocates in our region would benefit from knowing about it, even if it's disease specific, I'm happy to put it on here. So just shoot those my way and just say add to calendar. And I'm happy to maintain this and figure out the best way to distribute it going forward. So let me skip over this. Hang on. Oh, where did it go? Sorry, I thought I added it. Okay. So I wanted to talk about our grant cycle, and I'm sorry, I thought I just added it, but maybe it didn't save. So I wanted to talk about our new grant cycle, and Susan reminded me of this at the beginning of the call. So Mountain States is in its third year. You've heard me say this a couple of different times. We're in our third year of, hey, Jesus, just saw he joined. We're in our third and final year of our current grant cycle. And so we just received what we call a NOFO. It stands for Notice of Funding Opportunity. It came out from HRSA, and it's basically an announcement that they are going to have a grant cycle renewal, a competitive renewal, meaning that it goes out to anyone that wants to apply for it, and it is a competitive process. For a new grant cycle, which would start in June 1st of 2020. So we received that in October, that notification, and that's the due date that I mentioned is due in January. So right now we are in the process of starting to write that proposal, and we are seeking everyone's feedback. So we've gone to our state teams. Many of you have been on our state team calls and know that we have talked with our state teams about giving us ideas in each specific state about what kind of projects that your state team would like to pursue. But we also want individuals' feedback, and we for sure want genetic ambassador input. So we have a link, and I thought I apologize. I thought I made that was why I was editing there, Susan, but I will send it out after this call. It is in the project director message. Hopefully you all have gotten that. It went out yesterday. If you're not getting a monthly newsletter from us, please let me know because we would love to add you to that. It's a key way we communicate important information with Mountain States as a whole. It's called the project director's message, and it's comes out from Janet Thomas and Kathy Hassel once a month. And that has the link to the survey that we are collecting information and collecting your thoughts and ideas for the upcoming grant cycle. So Susan had brought up at the beginning of this call, not forgetting about people who are in the diagnostic journey, or odyssey as it's sometimes called, who don't have a diagnosis, and letting them know that they have support and that they're not alone in that process. And the next grant cycle actually highlights that as one of the main areas of focus, which is family, is supporting families with not only resources but education. So I can give you an idea of the kind of the top areas for the new grant cycle are looking at specifically education to primary care providers is one area of focus. Telehealth and telemedicine is a focus of this grant cycle, and it's still a very big focus of the next grant cycle as well. The organization that Joel represents, that Joel, who's on here now with us, the National Genetics Education and Family Support Program, is also doing a competitive grant right now at the same time, but that is a big piece of our grant, is coordinating with them. And then there's another organization, it's currently called the National Coordinating Center, who coordinate all the regional genetics networks. They are having a competitive grant, but the name is changing, and they're going to be called the Advances in Integrating Genetics into Clinical Care grant. And they are specifically going to be focused on providing health professionals with education, training, and other resources to improve their knowledge of genetic conditions and improve their ability to identify individuals who are at risk for genetic conditions.
Christy, I'm sorry, can you say the name of that grant again?
I sure can, and I can even give you the HRSA number if you want to look it up. So it's called Advances in Integrating Genetics into Clinical Care. And so they're going to go by the acronym AIGCC. And it's HRSA-20-050. And then the grant that Joel represents now, that one will keep the name National Genetics Education and Family Support Program. And that is HRSA-20-049.
And Christy, we're actually changed a little bit because right now we're the center, and it's just slightly different being changed to program next year, but not as much of a change as. No, it's okay. Certainly not as big of a change on the program name as the other center.
Yeah. So you're going from a center to a program, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Gotcha. And just so you have the triad, our grant is called Regional Genetics Networks, and it is HRSA-20-046. So all three of those grants work together, and all three of those grants are out for competitive bid, and will all be due at the same time and awarded at the same time. They go together as a package, if you will, within HRSA, because we all work together. All three of them work together. The good news is our name's not changing. So we're going to get to stay the Regional Genetics Network, which means we get to keep our website and our Facebook pages and our Twitter account. We don't have to change our name. So that's a good thing if awarded once we apply for it. So I'm glad that that's not changing, because if you guys have been with us for any length of time, we changed from the collaboratives to the networks in this grant cycle. So that link, going back to the survey link for feedback, we are looking for feedback from anyone and everyone. So our state teams, individuals, genetic ambassadors. If you know of some individuals you would like to get involved with Mountain States, they can fill out the survey. We're just looking for ideas and information so that we can take all of that information to our management team, call through it, and then take some of those ideas and write them into the grant. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
oh, is that Jesus? Hi, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed like half of the meeting. But just something really quick, and I'm not sure if you guys see the app that my mom said last night. But she filled out one okay, so she registered for one of the pop-ups that we want to do here at my home next year for a group or lady that she knows of, and that one is fine. But after the first registration.
I think I know what you're talking about. When you went back in, you wanted to go back in and submit a second idea for a pop-up, and it wouldn't let you, right?
Yeah, and we tried everything. We turned off the screen, the computer, everything, and always took us back to the survey.
Yeah, it's okay. I think Annette had to switch something on her end. So if you try again, can you let us know if you're able to get into it again? So I think we fixed it on our end, but I think we just need confirmation from you that you're able to see the survey again.
Okay. So that means that we need to fill it out first, and then see the new screen or page, or I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, so you should be able to click on that link, and it should bring up a new blank survey, or sorry, a new blank pop-up application.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, we were like trying what happened, because the first one it worked, and then the other one, it always brought us to the survey. But okay, good.
Yeah, good. It should work now, but let me know, and if not, we can talk offline. But yeah, we think we fixed it. Because sometimes Survey Monkeys, you only want people to take the survey one time, and then sometimes you want it to be open so people can take it multiple times. So I think Annette just had to switch it on our end, on the back end.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then if we fill out a couple pages, we want to try to at least have 2 more pop-ups, either before March or before the month before.
Perfect. Okay.
Next year.
I love it. And thank you so much.
Thank
Let me know if you have trouble with it, and we can troubleshoot offline.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the other survey that I'm talking about for the grant is separate. So there's 2 things. We've got the application for the pop-ups, and then we've got the survey for the feedback about the grant. So those are both Survey Monkey links, but they're separate. They're separate entities. So it should let you into the other one. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
All right, great.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you joined us. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, and I just want, so if anybody has any questions about the new grant application going in, or has ideas, or maybe you're typing it into the Survey Monkey and you're like, oh gosh, I'd rather just talk to somebody about this because my idea is complicated, or I want to talk through it, feel free to reach out to me, and we're happy to set up a time to talk if it's too much to type. But
all right, good.
We thought the survey would be an easy way for people to submit ideas. If you have something in those categories that I said that you really think, hey, Mountain States should be doing this, this is what families really need, this is what we needed, then put it in that so we can evaluate all those ideas together.
Alrighty, great. Yeah.
So the other thing I just wanted to point out to everybody, on the Mountain States website, our For Families tab is where I house everything that would be applicable to genetic ambassadors. I have a genetic ambassadors tab there. We now have a genetics pop-up tab. We have our Facebook Lives are all archived there, where we're answering people's questions. And I'm excited to say, I've got a couple consumers and genetic ambassadors, Heather and a couple others have come forward saying that they'd answer some questions. So be looking out for those Facebook Lives in the next coming months as we record those. And that tab, though, that For Families tab, which is right here on the website, has a lot of information that you might find interesting as a genetic ambassador, and can help support families that you serve. Oh, there it is. There's my slide. So there's the Survey Monkey link for the input on the grant. That link is in the PD message, the project director message that just came out yesterday. I will reply to everybody and send that out after this call. But it's just a four question survey with boxes where you can type in your feedback. But we do want everybody's input. You guys are the heart and soul of Mountain States, and we appreciate and listen to what you say. So this is one way to communicate to the management team your ideas. So I'll keep that up there for a second if anybody wants to jot it down. It's just surveymonkey.com/r/input on grant. All one word.
I have a quick question. I probably missed it, but where are you keeping the calendar?
So right now, I'm just keeping the calendar in the genetic ambassador slides on these calls. So I archive those on the genetic ambassador tab. You can click on the PowerPoint slides. So, and as soon as this call's over, I'll put the recording up and the slides. That's up for discussion though. If people want that in a different format, we can talk about that, especially going into the next grant cycle, how that might look. So if you have ideas about that, you can put them in the survey link, and let me know what might work well for you, whether that be a consumer newsletter, whether that be somewhere on our website. But right now it's in the PowerPoint. It's in the PowerPoint slide.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. The other thing I just wanted to bring up, a lot of you on this call are in this group, but I just wanted to make sure for anyone that's new, because we have a couple folks that are new on the call, we have a Genetic Ambassador Facebook group that is a secret private group, so it's not, your information's not out there. But it's a quick way for me to communicate, especially if something comes up last minute. I'm able to put it on there and tag everybody, so you get a notification that maybe a scholarship has just opened up, or maybe we just heard about, a webinar you might be interested in, or something like that. So this is a great way. I know this has helped a lot of people who maybe met each other on a call or met each other at a summit to get in touch with each other again and have, you know, private messages offline. So if you're interested in being added to that group, I have to send you an invite to be added. So if you're not in there and would like to be added to that, just send me an email. I need to know the email address that you logged into with Facebook, because it sends the invite to your Facebook, through your Facebook email, and then you click on it and then you can accept, and then you're in the group. So if you would like to be added and you're not already, just send me an email that you would like to be added. Okay. All right, and then that's my contact information where you can find me anytime. And I did want to open this up for some discussion and brainstorming, because I know a lot of people have some ideas on pop-ups. Some people are wanting to connect with other people in their state on pop-ups and do something a little bit larger. So I wanted to, this last 10 minutes of the call, allow people who are on the call to ask questions, to brainstorm, to share your ideas and say, hey, is there anybody else on the call that's interested in this? But to use this as a networking time if there are people who would like to cross-collaborate and apply for a pop-up. So is there any, I know the Colorado group is thinking about some stuff. Is there anybody want to? Yep. Go ahead. Anybody want to share or ask for help or ask for collaboration? We so far have 5 pop-ups that have been applied for. As far as this morning when Annette pulled the numbers, we have right now. Yeah, I was gonna say we have 4 applications from Colorado and 1 from Montana.
So none from Texas.
Probably one more.
And yeah, that's all. That only Colorado and Montana are accounted for or are represented in the application. So at this point, but we have till we got probably what another week and a half that the application will be open. So yeah. Does anybody have any ideas? Or we have, I'm just gonna say we have Susan on here and we have Adrian on here who were part of pop-ups the last round. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. If anybody wants to ask questions about, hey, how did you do this? Or what was it like? Or was it a lot of work? Or was it doable? Or how did you invite people? Any of those kinds of questions, I'm sure Susan and Adrian might be. Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
I would like to say that I didn't have enough manpower at mine. Because,
you didn't have enough manpower?
Yes, because by the time we dragged everything in to, spread out all the literature and all of that, it ended up that our discussions were so powerful that I was absorbed in the discussions, and then I forgot to take pictures.
We needed to hire you a photographer.
Right. I'm just wanting to tell people that it's you have such an intense time. And I had no idea that the people that I invited wanted to talk so much, and they wanted to network, and they and so there was just so much going on that it distracted me from just the stuff about taking pictures and handing things out, that kind of thing.
So if you look on the website, we got one picture of Susan.
Yeah, and it's not even at the pop-up either.
Not at the pop-up.
What I did at the pop-up, but that's because I was so engaged with the people that were there.
But that's so important. That's awesome. So one of the things that Susan did that I think is kind of unique and a really, really great idea for a I don't know, an icebreaker maybe. Do you have it there? Do you want to tell them?
Well, if you give me a second, I can come bring it and I'll show you.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'll start explaining it. She took some numbers that describe our region, whether they were numbers of people, numbers of square miles, and she put the numbers up on a display board, and then she had questions prepared that corresponded to the numbers. And so she would ask the question, and then they had numbers to pick from. Was the answer. And so she did that, and when she shows it to you, it's kind of cool. She did it with Velcro, and she would pull off the number and give it to the person. And that's how they decided who got the stuffed gene. So in our gene in a box, we actually have a stuffed animal that looks like a gene. And that's how they raffled that off, who won the icebreaker and got got the number of numbers correct, but it was a really, really creative way to get a group of people who maybe don't know each other talking. And obviously they all hit it off, and she even told me, I think they had a storm that day or something, and their pop-up went for a couple hours because people just wanted to keep talking and waited out the storm. So anyway, oh, there she is. She's back. Did you find it?
While she's grabbing that, I reached out to a parent group, a parent support group, and asked them if I could do the Gen X pop-up with them. And one of their asks was that if I did that, that I bring information that would connect them to our genetics hospital and bring information to help parents know what to do next if they think their child has a genetic condition. And it really, I sent you an email about it this morning because it really got me to thinking about who our audiences are for some of these groups. So I'm part of that parent support group, and they have guest speakers. But I hadn't thought, because I'm sitting in kind of a professional role, that they might want that next step information. So, okay, you've introduced me to genetics. Now what do I do, and where do I go, and who do I call in my state? And I think you have that as part of the kit, right?
Perfect. Well, we do and we don't. So we have some conversations that are going on right now about that, Jen. So I would love to connect with you offline to brainstorm that a little bit more, because that's something we're looking to adding to either this round or the next round of genetic pop-ups. A little bit more formal way of connecting people with services. Yep. So perfect. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh, she got it. There we go. So this is Susan's Velcro board.
And so, can you hear me? What I did was, like, these are attached with Velcro. And so I had a list of questions of what these numbers mean. And then they were guessing which one of the numbers would answer the question. And then if they got it right, then I handed them this. And then whoever had the most of these at the end was the one who got the little DNA.
Stuffed DNA.
Yeah, the stuffed DNA. And
yeah. And I think we have that available. So if anybody else wants to do that, it's part of their pop-up. I think Susan sent me the questions.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's not that hard to do, to make these little things. But
I think you're going to need to patent it and then start selling copies, Susan.
I don't know, but the thing is, there's just there's a lot of lack of information about genetics in general. I mean, people really don't understand, like, how many genes do we have, and how rare are rare disorders, and just all these kind of questions.
Yeah, it's a neat way to make kind of facts and figures more realistic to people too. Kind of think of it on a scale level. So very creative. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing with us. I know we're getting to the top of the hour. We got about 5 more minutes left. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or anything that Mountain States can help you with that you need assistance with in your professional lives, in your advocacy lives, any other topics that you guys are interested in for future calls? Feel free to throw it out now, and we're happy to help.
Well, I really want to network with anybody else that is thinking about how do we get people who were missed when they were born because they're 40 years old or 35 years old or 30 years old, and genetics just wasn't there, to the same extent. And that definitely with my daughter, even though she had things that now would be thought to be a genetic disorder, it was not. There were no services, no offer of genetics, or even thought to send her to a geneticist. And so I want to know what other people know about how can we find these families, because they are the ones that we really want to reach, because they're unreached.
Susan, I wanted to add to that. My child lives in a community living situation in our community. Right. And we have in our community, like, one of the oldest living people ever diagnosed with a certain condition, a rare condition. Mm-hmm. But because he lives in the community he lives in, no other parents or other people with that condition have access to him. So, for example, other parents aren't able to talk to his caregivers or anybody and ask, what is it like to be the oldest living person with that medical condition or that genetic condition? So I'm finding that not only do we have a group of people who are undiagnosed in these older adults, we also have a lot of rich information that would be helpful to families and caregivers that kind of ends up being locked up in a group home setting or locked up in these other settings that would be helpful information to share. And I've been kind of talking about our group, our place here about doing that because he's so rare. He's like outlived like 20 years or 30 years, the oldest living person. And I'm like, families would love to hear that. Like that offers so much hope. Like he's an actual person that has a valuable life in our community and families aren't aware of him and the life that he's living.
Well, this family that I know, he's the oldest living person, they found out. He was just diagnosed yesterday. And so what I'm saying, if we could have a way to get lists of places like that where people live, I mean, just, you know, whatever resources we can come up with for finding out where are these people, you know. And like I have a cousin who's in a program that's run by the school system that is for kids that have developmental disabilities and they graduate from high school, but then what? You know, and so it's teaching them skills and things like that. Well, we should be coordinating with them.
So there was a great, I know you missed the last call, Susan, so you might have missed this, but there was a great webinar that Casey from Texas brought to my attention. So CERN, which is our sister regional network for Southeast, just did a transition to medical services in genetics webinar. And so I can see if that got archived. I know I put it on our Facebook page and I put it on our calendar as well for last month, but it happened like just a week ago or so. So there are some organizations even talking about that out there specific with genetics and with the transition issue. And I know Jen and the Montana team is in their state has a transition conference that they gave gas cards to for families with genetic conditions to be able to go to. So it's a huge issue being talked about in the medical home model and but to have some people now talking about specifically in genetics, I think is exciting and very, very needed in our community, because how do you make that switch from pediatric to adulthood, medically, school-wise, right? It's a big concern.
But I'm just thinking programs for that the school systems run may be actually the way to find people who are undiagnosed.
Yeah.
And wouldn't even think about looking at genetics.
Yep. So guys, we have to close it here because we have a Nevada State team call that we have to jump on. So I have to close the line and stop the discussion. I'm sorry to cut it a little bit short today, but thank you guys all for joining us today. I'll send out the link to the genetic ambassador, the genetic pop-up application, and also send the link for the survey as well for the grant. But thank you guys all so much for joining us, and I can't wait to read the applications for the pop-ups. Have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.